I'm Michael Ryan, Head of Global Development in FESPA Global Print Expo. And Iain Clasper-Cotte has kindly joined me to offer his experience and thoughts on what impact the pandemic has had on the business, how the business has navigated some tough times, and more importantly, what learnings and positives have come from that to drive forward and grow the wide format business. Iain, hello.
Hi, Mike. Good to talk to you.
Excellent. I've seen all your posts on LinkedIn. I've seen you traveling to the FESPA events. You are managing director of Faber Exposize UK and Northern Flags. So tell me a little bit, first of all, about the company.
Well, we started in the UK about 37 years ago as one of the traditional flag companies, I suppose. It was set up by Sandy, who'd been a salesman for a couple of other flag companies, and he decided he wanted to do it for himself, and he didn't have any capital, and so he tried to get some of the existing UK producers to print for him, and they all said no. So he had to reach a bit further, and he ended up setting up the business in partnership with the Faber family from the Netherlands, who at that time had a large screen printing operation in Markelo. And so they took 49% of the company, he had 51%, and it chunted along. I think he always resented that decision to work with the Faber family, and he always kept them at a distance all the time that he was running the business. And I think he probably missed a few opportunities, because at the same time Faber were expanding across Europe. They moved their screen print to Thailand, they ended up in Germany, Sweden, Poland, France, etc. And the British business just carried on being kind of one of the main flag companies, but it didn't really spread beyond that. And then Sandy decided he wanted to retire, and Faber looked at how they were doing in some of the other countries and thought, actually, the UK's maybe underperforming a bit. Maybe we'll look for somebody a little bit different to sort of take over the business, and maybe we can persuade them to be a shareholder. And they found somebody who knew nothing about print, who'd past life had been working in online and radio, and they took a risk on me, and I took a risk on them, and got involved with print. And I think I joined 10 years ago, and I think that was quite an exciting time to join, because the threat, I'm going to call it the threat of digital fabric print, was coming in. And for a company like Faber that had relied on screen print, and for a flag producer that relied on people being terrified of printing a flag because you need the show through on the back, suddenly we had all of these printer manufacturers saying, no, you don't need to go to them, buy a printer, do it yourself. And so I started looking with a guy called Martin Coppola, who was running the Dutch business, and we kind of thought, oh God, our lunch is going to be stolen. Maybe we should be going after everybody else's lunch as well. So
exactly. And now look at you guys. You are Europe's largest POS. And
so it's a good network now, and actually the shareholdings have changed a bit, and I think the cooperation we're getting, particularly on the retail side, has been great. So yeah, it's a good
fabulous
network.
And I know you from those iconic events. So I remember Eurovision last year in Rotterdam. Your Dutch office was printing of those. Give us some examples of the work that you've been doing. You work on the FA Cup, is that correct as well?
Historically we've done bits and pieces. We've got to be very careful what we talk about, because the worst thing about this industry is they send you these non-disclosure agreements, and all of the pictures that you've got on the phone that you're proudest of, that you really want to post, you can't do. So I have to be a little bit discreet.
But they're great events. They're big events. Yes.
Yeah, we do quite a few big events. Often we do those for the company that has been charged with doing the overlay contracts. So we tend to be a trade supplier rather than the master contractor for these things. Though in the Netherlands, they bought a company called Len, and they do quite a lot of the installation as well. But here in the UK, we tend to supply to the main contractors. But we've done some quite sexy things that you might, if you have a look on YouTube, things like covering the entire Wembley pitch for the FA Cup final a few years ago, which I think still ranks as the biggest, biggest
print,
banner ever done in Europe, which was 12,500 square meters.
Okay, and, we've got to try and beat that at FESPA soon, I think.
Yeah. So that was quite a nice one. And we were also doing some interesting things in overlay, where we worked with Sheffield University on on things like special chemicals that can clean the air on your point of sale and all that kind of stuff. And we took that analysis over to Irish universities as well. So it's all quite interesting doing stuff like that.
Very good. So looking at those events, of course, the last couple of years there hasn't been that many events happening. How was the times from 2020 when the pandemic hit?
Well, I have to say that we discovered red wine in large quantities. That was the first part of our
myself Belgian beer.
Yeah, so red wine was a key part, and I think what we did was we kind of rapidly realised that the fabric market was dead. There was no two ways about it. We were lucky; we had a couple of Annapurna UV printers, so we just pivoted our whole sales operation to be really pushing to join the supply of things like the floor vinyl and safety and all that kind of stuff. And actually, that pivoting worked really well, because I think as a business maybe we've been a bit complacent and just been pushing fabric.
Yeah.
And actually, what the COVID period has done is actually made us quite well known for UV as well, because we stayed open the whole time, and some of our competitors didn't, and that got our message deeper into people like the print management companies, and they started listening to the fact that we do have these UV printers.
So that sort of gave you that pivoting and opening up new business, etc., and those trends. Because, for example, what we've seen at FESPA is, of course, massive growth still in interior decor, which is still an untapped market. But we're seeing that now coming with people coming back to the office, with businesses like retail needing people to come to the doors. They're creating unique atmospheres once again.
Yeah, I do think that things like corporate interiors will become an increasingly important part of the business, and we keep looking at how we can attack that more aggressively than we are currently, because I think that workplaces are going to be smaller than they are now for big PLCs, but they'll want them more brand experiential. So I think they will be prepared to spend a bit more on it, and they'll probably want to keep changing it more frequently, because nowadays you have to persuade your employees to go into the office. And if you haven't got an environment which is a bit aspirational, and you haven't got facilities that allow them to interact with their colleagues in the right way, they're just going to save their bus fares and their huge petrol costs and just stay at home and, work from home. I feel guilty saying that as we're recording this from home, and I'm looking.
The building next door to us, they've been renovating that for the last couple of months to FESPA, and literally I can see all of the staff. They're going, "Oh, have you seen their lighting? Have you seen what they're installing? Have you seen the coffee that they're being delivered?" It's like, okay, so I have to have a chat with Neil and discuss all what's happening next door. So I totally agree with you. In terms of technologies as well, I know. For us at FESPA, we've seen massive growth in automation. We've seen all the manufacturers working together from the start of the initial order processing straight to the workflow, speeding up of production. Are those trends that you're seeing also at Northern Flags and Faber Exposize?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge for us, is that whole workflow issue and MIS and all that kind of stuff. And because we've been fortunate enough to be growing quite rapidly over the past couple of years, we haven't had the time to stop and do it properly. And indeed, working with Claire, my GM, that's her biggest job, I think, over the next 12 months is what are we going to do? How do we become more efficient? How do we minimize the people involvement at every stage of the process? Because we've had to employ 40% more people than we had pre-pandemic, and part of that, if we're honest, is people to put sticky back plasters over process to just keep the ship afloat as we're doing these things, because we're operating, with certain systems that aren't really up to the size of business we're at now. But we also know that if we don't spend enough, if we buy in panic, it'll probably make it worse rather than better. So, that is the biggest project we've got. When it comes to automation on the actual production floor, I think, for us, we're not quite at the stage where we can justify the auto loading of the new Tauro and things like that. but part of we just had new mezzanine built, and part of the reason that that's higher than the mezzanine that it joins to, which has caused the builders a bit of an issue, is we knew we wanted the area under that higher because of if the Tauro goes crazy and we fill it, we will want auto loading and things like that, and we will need that extra height.
And
so
that's your latest. That's your latest.
Upstairs.
That's your latest investment, the Tauro, as well. And that's more. I would associate that more to board printing. So that's opening you up into new audiences away from the fabric industry. So you're printing on board materials, specifically for customers. Yes.
Yeah, it is a hybrid machine. So we are also doing an awful lot of window clings. PVC, double-sided PVC, and things like that, and it's given us the flexibility of both things. But it is a very fast machine, so you do need to plan it a bit better because of the setup and all that kind of stuff.
And with the collaboration of the group, and you've got was it nine companies, 9 factories? Is that correct?
Yeah, within the partnership, yeah.
Fabulous. Now, is there collaboration in terms of how you're doing your production between those units and how you're setting up things? Are you testing machinery? Are you testing processes, and then that comes out to the whole group?
Yeah, I think that is one thing that we're really fortunate of, because we can learn very quickly by somebody else's mistakes, and we're honest. So that's quite a key one. But having said that, we're all still a bit independent. So we're the only one of the factories that's predominantly AGFA. The Germans actually added an Annapurna in there during COVID, and I believe the Dutch are currently looking at one as well, but they're also looking at another machine. So we do share our experiences a lot, and I think one of the things that I think we also look at very closely is not just the technical spec and how shiny the machine is, but I think one of the things that we've all learned as well is the service partnership that you can have with your supplier is really important. And that can be different for the same machinery in different countries. And that's something I think we're very aware of as well.
Fantastic. And I've seen also in terms of one area of FESPA this year, we've got the Sustainability Spotlight, which is a theatre with presentations, discussions on site in Berlin. I see that you've produced a number of product guides for sustainability in terms of hospitality, for sports and events. Is this now really important from your customers, and are they asking from you to know what your sustainability process is?
Yeah, it's very much a change that has been accelerated by COVID, because I think a lot of people had a lot of pondering time and a lot of time to enjoy nature, and as a result of that, I think they developed a conscience, and so that means that now it is a key part. I think also a lot of big brands are being worried about being shamed as well. I think social media, etc., is such a key part of how brands are judged now, that actually they're very worried that having the wrong point of sale or the wrong branding at event or sports something can undermine the whole thing, because there you are on a sports event showing how healthy lifestyle is, and you've covered the place in toxic point of sale that's going to go straight in landfill. That's not really part of what you're trying to advertise here. So, we're helping companies go through make that transition. But I think you also have to be kind of very consultative with people, but honest with them, because things like, a client who is using double-sided lamppost banners, using one of the PVC alternatives might not be quite as green as you think, because they're only available in lighter weights, and that particular product gets a hell of a battering in the wind. So really, if you have to print the banner 3 times because it keeps ripping, are you saving maybe? So we're trying to have conversations which are very honest and practical with people. Things like for banners to be recycled, you've got to use plastic eyelets. They're not as strong as metal ones. So are you aware of that? How long is it going up for? So for us, it's particularly challenging because we've got to know all of the different substrates that are rapidly coming on the market, and that's one of the reasons why, I'll be in Berlin, because we've got to stay on top of that as a printer. But you also have to be kind of very aware of how a customer's going to use it, and make help them make that change in a way that is cost effective for them.
Fabulous, excellent. Well, as you said there, you're going to be coming to Berlin for the event. I will certainly put you in contact with FESPA UK. They have a number of events taking place on Club FESPA as well. So certainly join them on the Club FESPA stand so that you can learn a little bit more about the FESPA community and the associations. Is there anything you're looking for in particular when you're shopping in Berlin?
Well, I'm trying not to shop. In fact, I don't know why I'm going, to be honest with you, Mike, because we've already committed to £1 million worth of spend with the Taro and some other things that are in the pipeline to land. So I am going, trying not to shop, but we are looking at finishing equipment, and we are looking
Fabulous.
at substrate. So it's and we will be looking. I think we've got quite a few of the MII systems on our radar, but I will have my eye open for that. But I'll delegate the evaluation of that to somebody with better attention to detail than me.
Excellent. Well, I've just signed off the floor plans. I've just signed off the show guide. So I'll send you a copy so that you can plan your trip. We've got 8 halls in Berlin, so certainly utilize as much time as possible when you come to the event. And Iain,
I think that's great to hear, because obviously Amsterdam was 2 halls, was it? So to have it back to its former strength is great.
Exactly. Amsterdam was incredible. It was an opportunity to all connect once again. We were very, very fortunate. Everybody was fortunate. But yes, thankfully we're back to where FESPA should be. And it'll be a real pleasure to see you at the event. Iain, thank you so much. Thank you. For any other information, please go to faberexposize.co.uk for all the information and some inspiration about printing on not just textiles now, but all materials. Thank you, Iain.
Thanks, Mike.
We look forward to welcoming the printing community back to FESPA Global Print Expo and European Sign Expo from the 31st of May until the 3rd of June. If you're joining us in Berlin, don't forget to check out the 8 halls that we have, full of innovative materials, the latest printing technologies for digital textile printing, wide format printing, screen printing. Enjoy the industry as we all come together and experience print in motion.